Alcohol. The liquid courage we all need to get through 2021, am I right? Because it's like 7 days in as I film this and it's already gone downhill. Now, I'm not making a joke out of anything, but let me just chug this vodka back real quick before I get into this video because, well, it's a heavy one. Let's get right into it. All right, you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Les, and you're more. If you could just please like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, give it a big thumbs up, yeah, and let the algorithm know that I exist here on the internet. That would be amazing. Now, sorry, you guys, if I've been a little bit MIA, but I did take a week and a half off because, you know, the holidays. I spent most of the week in my bathrobe drinking Baileys with a shot of coffee. I watched Titanic and cried because, well, do I need to say it? Jack could have lived. Oh, Jack, I don't think there's space for us on this lifeboat thingy. You mean the life raft? Whatever. There is, but you're just being selfish right now and you want it all for yourself. That's partially true. But no, Jack, I promise, I'll never let go. Well, you're letting go right now. You're literally letting me slip off this life. I know, but like, I don't have the strength. I'm too cold. Well, all right. It was nice 3 days knowing you. You too, Jack. I'll always love you and I'll never let go. You're letting go right now. I'll never let go. But you're okay, all right. Well, okay, bye. Love you, Jack. I love you. He was really good. If you know what I mean. Really, really good. But that's neither here or there. And then it dawned on me. I need more Baileys. Just kidding. But after that week, I honestly, after a week of me acting like I was in an all-inclusive resort, I came out of it feeling sluggish, bloated, and overall like a giant piece of poop.
I am poop.
So then I was like, okay, something's gotta change, right? And I think we all needed a little bit of downtime. I think a little bit of just alone time is super necessary, you know, just to gather yourself and gain the energy we need, because I don't think this year is off to an amazing start, and I think we can all agree on that. So let me start off by saying that everything I'm about to talk about in this video is not to pass judgment for those who enjoy a little drinky drink, because I know I certainly do, but I made a personal decision and I wanted to go dry for the month of January. Now, I don't know if this is going to go past January. I have no idea, and I'm not planning anything, but I think I've come to a point where I've had enough. And I'm going to talk about my reasons for doing so. And I'll give you a little bit of a historical summary of my drinking career, quote unquote. And then in another video, I will perhaps suggest reasons to, you know, go dry for at least a month. If that is something that you're interested in. So if you would like to see that video from my top 5 suggestions, then please give this video a like. I know I only have 16 subscribers, but you know, it's somewhere, you gotta start somewhere, right? Anyways, let me begin and get into it. So I'm just gonna put out a little trigger warning. Although I don't go into detail about a certain event, I will still put in just like a disclaimer that it gets a little on the darker side, and I don't want anyone to feel triggered. God, where do I begin? So for a long time in my 20s, I'd only drink really with my friends on the weekend. And I never really found myself having drinks outside of that like kind of party atmosphere, which I think many young adults can attest to. So it never really trickled into my day-to-day life. Like, sure, you know, you'd wake up on Sunday morning, you'd have that classic feeling of like, oh my God, my head feels like it's gonna explode, hangover. Admittedly, you know, there were nights where I'd act a fool, be an idiot, you know, lose a phone in an Uber, or someone had to carry me out of one. And hearing back those stories the next day, I just honestly would cringe so much. But also, now that I talk about them to my friends in retrospect, they seem hilarious. But going through that and kind of always being like the clown at those parties really didn't really do me any favors, and it kind of just made me feel like crap. But it still didn't deter me from going out. Like, I'd always tell myself this lie that, no, next time it'll get better. Like, we'll be better, less. We're going to compose ourselves and we're not going to be morons. And yeah, that never happened. Well, over a long period of time, it did eventually as I matured. But I still carried on, you know, because, you know, anytime I get a party invitation, I'd be like, hell yeah, I'm there. I can't not be there, you know, typical FOMO. But it didn't end there. I began to drink more, I think, and more so in private when my ex and I split up. And it wouldn't be uncommon for me to go to the LCBO, or, sorry, I'm Canadian, but like the liquor store, and get myself a bottle of wine and drink my sorrows away, because I don't eat ice cream really. So I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna have a bottle of wine. Like, I'm gonna have one glass. And it was never one glass. And then I began to go out more frequently. So instead of like the one night or whatever, like I'd go out 3 times. And then I began to engage in other extracurricular activities. I was also working a job that I didn't particularly enjoy. I mentioned that, I think, in my first video. I worked full time and I really didn't like it, and the stress of it was getting to me, to the point where I'd honestly find myself paying a visit to a local bar and ordering a glass of wine, and then another one and another one. And that led to one event. Yeah, it wasn't good. It was really awful. And again, I'm not going to talk about it. I don't really want to go there just yet. A lot of people in my life don't know about what had happened, and I'm not really ready to share that with the public sphere. However, because I kept mostly silent about it, even at the time, I drank more. And I'm not saying I drank every day, but, you know, I was going through bottles of wine pretty often. Let's just put it that way. And this event haunted me for months, but I went about everything like as if nothing had happened. And I felt like I had nowhere else to turn but to the bottle. And because all I wanted to do was not think about it, like I would just have drinks. Now, again, I'm not saying I did this every day, because I didn't, but I would say like I would do it like 4 times a week or so. So, I mean, that's still quite a bit. I felt like I was like harboring this secret, and I was embarrassed. Like, I was really ashamed, because I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to talk to anybody really about what had happened to me. And I just felt like an idiot, because I was like, how could I let this happen? I blamed myself for what had happened, and I couldn't like shake this feeling of guilt. And that sucks, because I'll just say that people who are in that situation, mostly if that kind of thing has happened to you, most of the time that's what you do. You blame yourself, when really I've realized over time that it wasn't my fault. But I guilted myself, and I couldn't let it go for a while. And that's not the first traumatic event that's ever happened to me in my life. It's weird, like I've had a lot of things happen, but you'd think I'd be able to handle it a lot better, but I don't think anyone is really prepared for something like that. Now, again, I never let it interfere in my day-to-day life. No one really knew, except for maybe close people. My mom definitely knew that I was suffering from something, and I was just shutting her out because I had lived with her at the time. I was shutting a lot of people out. or I just pretended like everything was hunky-dory. And I'm really good at doing that because I just like blanket everything. I try to be there for other people, and I focus on other people's issues instead of my own, to a fault. But yeah, so I was distancing myself from people. And again, the stress of my job was affecting me hugely. I wasn't doing anything productive or creative for myself. Like, I had just completely put like this armor over me, and blocked myself from my side hobbies. Like, I was just not interested in anything other than just literally numbing my, I guess, pain. I moved to a smaller city and I live in the suburbs. So at the time I didn't have access to a vehicle, and I was very limited to where I could go, as opposed to like jumping on the metro or like the bus. In a bigger city, there was really not that kind of accessibility here. Even though some time had passed since that event, I think maybe a good year or so, I was still drinking. I was in the habit of it, right? Like, I just, at that point, it became habitual. Just have a couple of drinks here and there. Of course, alcohol, which I will discuss more in another video, it is inflammatory. So if you drink it often enough, you will gain weight more likely than not. Guess what happened? Exactly that. I gained weight, a lot of weight. And mind you, it's not just alcohol per se. It was also eating out, food. But I was always someone who was fairly thin, and I started to notice my weight gain. Oh my God, I weighed myself and I was like, what in the world? You don't obviously see yourself gaining weight, and I didn't really pay attention because I was focusing on other things that had happened. But, you know, I had put on a fairly significant amount of weight. For someone of my size, all my life, that was pretty horrible. Like, for me, I hated it. It really upset me even more. It was just like on top of all of these other factors and issues that I was dealing with, there was like this other thing now that I had to like take control of. I was like, okay, well, you know what? This is it. I can't do this anymore. And I think that was my breaking point, where I was like, I need to get my shit together. Like, I have to get it together. I have to like go to the gym, even though I was going to the gym, but I don't think I was going as frequently. I don't know, maybe 3 times a week. But again, you can't outrun a bad diet. Like, you just can't. You can work out as much as you want, but if you're eating garbage and drinking a lot, then you know what? It's not going to do anything. So I had to understand where like my issues were rooted, because it wasn't just like the superficial stuff. Like, I had to really hone in on the psychological factors and understand why I had been drinking, because at the time I wasn't cognizant of the reasons, and I had to do some really, really hard introspective work on myself and figure it out and deal with the shit that had happened, the trauma. And that requires some heavy duty reconditioning. I had to understand why I was drinking. So because I was trying to numb my pain away, but also I had become semi-dependent. I mean, I'm not fully dependent, but there was a habit associated with drinking. And I read this book, and it's called The Naked Mind by Annie Grace, and it is amazing. It unteaches you everything you've learned or society has taught you about alcohol, including, you know, why we drink even when we go out to parties and all that kind of stuff. So it was really helpful to understand that and get into the psychological side of it, because I honestly was like on a downfall. I was spiraling. So I got it together. I joined like this private gym and brought a sense of community to me in this town that I didn't know anybody, and I had no friends here to support me, even though I talked to my friends like quite a bit on the phone and via social media. With that, I also, started a new job, and I found friends, and I began to become more grounded. Now, of course, then 2020 happened and the pandemic, but I really got a chance to get to know myself and get in touch with my authentic self and remember who I was prior to all those horrible negative experiences that had happened to me in my life, and try to get in touch with that version, that pure kind of innocent person, because we all have that child within us. It's just that we block that child that is so pure and uninhibited and not corrupted by society. Even like looking at like pictures of myself as a teenager, as a little girl, kind of started to tear up a little bit during those times of reconnection with me, because you look at that like a little 8-year-old and you're like, oh my gosh, you're so innocent. You didn't ask for this, and why did I do this to you? And it's just having those conversations with yourself, because at the end of the day, you could be 60, 50, 100, and we all have that inner child within us. It's just important to be in touch with that child, nurture it, and love it like you would an actual child. I know that was kind of like a long-winded story about my depressing experience, but I don't want it to be. I want it to be encouraging for those of you out there who are interested in doing something similar just for a month even. I think it's really important to understand our association and our dependence as a society on alcohol. I think it's important to also be mindful of how much you consume and what you put into your body, because I think 2020 damaged a lot of people's livers. Like, let's be for real. Day drinking became very socially acceptable. And again, I'm not here to pass judgment. Like I said, like I have gone down a horrible road, and I am looking for a positive light, because I think we can all attain it. And I'm not saying I'm quitting forever. This is just something that I'm doing for myself and for my body and for my mind. I want to harbor more positive energy. And if you're like into spiritual stuff, or like, I don't know, call it woo-woo things or whatever, it does more harm than good. Let's just put it that way. For me anyways, it doesn't serve me any good. So at this moment in time, I've decided to just go dry and see how I feel. And then I will check in with everybody at the end of the month or at the end of the 30 days and let you know how I feel. Like I said, I have no plan to plan anything, and I don't want this to be a personal attack on anyone who is, going through drinking or bouts of drinking, or just enjoys drinking or enjoys having a couple of drinks, like whatever. I don't care. I'm just sharing with you my experience and why I'm doing this. I hope maybe perhaps I'll inspire someone out there, or maybe you can relate. Just comment in the comment section below and let me know your experiences with alcohol, or if you're planning on going dry for a month, or if you have, or for how long, or sobriety story. Like, listen, anything. I am down to hear it. So that's it, I think, for now. I just wanted to give you guys like a little update as to why I'm going dry. And I thought it would be a good topic to start off the new year with, because I think a lot of us have New Year's resolutions. And I'm not really one for resolutions as much as I am for goals. And New Year is always filled with hope. And I know that we are going through some crazy times right now. A lot of shit has already happened in the past not even 10 days. And the year has just begun. So I want to be a little bit more positive and start off with some good vibes, right? Anyways, that is it for now. I will do a separate video on my top 5 reasons why lose the booze. Not really, but I don't know. The sun is setting, and so I'm like trying not to be in the glare of it. And also, I don't know if you guys there's Joe, the alien. A lot of you guys know that I'm into conspiracies, so I felt like he should be making a little cameo, right, Joe? He's wearing a hat. Why? Because it's cold, even for aliens. Thank you so much for joining me today and for listening. And if you don't mind, again, if you want to just like subscribe or like or not like, I don't care. But just make sure the algorithm knows I exist. And on that note, I'm Les, and I am signing off.